Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome one, welcome all back to the WEL6. I am Maddante, and joining me is, as always, actually, recently, the lovely
JudasPriestley, of course. Happy to be here, Dante. Very excited for today, of course. Big week in, well, 6 Overwatch 2.
big week, surprisingly enough, last week. So we will be jumping into, first of all, semi-finals. That will be featuring Knights versus Wolfhounds, and then we'll be jumping into the grand finale. That will, of course, be the Puffins versus the winners of our first set here. Ronda Rising. Judas, can you give us a little update on what is the situation with Ronda Rising?
Did unfortunately have to forfeit. Nothing to do with last week or anything, just unfortunately players were not available. So yeah, Puffins do find themselves already in the final. So they will be probably watching this game very, very closely because, of course, they know that they're already there. It all depends on who comes out between the Knights and the Wolfhounds. I believe, Dante, Wolfhounds versus Puffins was the finals matchup in the last season of Overwatch 2. So Knights here, maybe the new kids on the block when they show up and cause a bit of an upset.
No, the dark horses, which we absolutely did see tear apart the track last week, so very much a possibility there. But yes, the Puffins I think are looking are I think maybe rooting for the Wolfhounds to take it. The reason being, Puffins did end up taking WEL 5 3-1. So if they've been developing their skills and keeping themselves honed, well, in theory, they're looking to kind of recreate that. If they go against the Knights, then, as you said, new kids on the block, different styles, different strats. Maybe will be an upset, as you said, not only just for the Wolfhounds, but for the Puffins as well.
Yeah, definitely, a chance to make that happen, because when you're kind of an unknown group of players, like we said, new to the scene, that's where you can catch people out. And yeah, like you said, if the Puffins were to go against the Wolfhounds again, you'd almost expect a similar outcome. So Wolfhounds wouldn't be too happy with that either. If they do make it to the final, they'll be looking, hey, you know what, we shouldn't have lost last season. We're going to look to win this season as well. So yeah, definitely going to be really excited to see even just this first game, let alone the finals later on. There's so much on the line here. It does look like our first map is going to be Busan here as well. Now, we actually saw the Knights play Busan last week, and they absolutely dominated it to the point where they didn't even care to take the point right away. They just kind of kept killing the enemy team. So I don't know if they'll get away with that this time around, but definitely coming into this map with a bit of confidence.
No, yeah, exactly. But Busan, we did see quite, the vertical plays and things like that. The execution was just very solid from the Knights, so we're going to have to see if that can be lived up to by the Wolfhounds. The Wolfhounds we have seen are incredibly capable, so there should be a bit more kind of contesting. And as you said, there should not be any shenanigans with, forgetting to capture the point or just keeping the fights going. I think they're going to want to shut the fights down as quick as possible, and keep that control and keep that space. The players, I believe, are just getting ready, so we've already got that map picked, so we should just be jumping in just a moment. But it's a bit unfair, maybe. Do you have any predictions, Priestley, for our first set?
It is completely impossible, only because obviously the Knights, like we said, new to the scene, and while they did look incredibly strong last week into Ronda Rising, it's very, very hard to compare, apples to oranges without seeing them side by side. This is going to be the real test for the Knights, and the Knights will be feeling that too. They probably won't really know how this first set's going to go for them. They're going to hope it's as easy as last week, but you can almost guarantee that will not be the case. So definitely plenty to be keep an eye on here, because there's lots of ways that this can go badly for both teams, and you certainly want to get off to a good start.
Yeah, damn right, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So, I mean, we've seen Vic and kind of tear apart Witty Weave as well. We're shooting through, but on the other side, Wolfhounds, we've got Weather and we've got False on the Cassidy and Genji there. So the comps are a little bit different, just a tiny bit with kind of how the damage is being done. But that's a great first pick, immediately countered back though, and Vic being melted through Witty Weave, trying to follow up. It's going to be enough with both Juno and Genji falling, but that's a pinstripe. This is already very different to what we've seen last week.
Yeah, already really, really close. And in fact, just going to give it up is Lagaleth there, not to stagger the spawns. So Knights, with first blood, shall we say, of this set, does get that first capture on the point. But it's not all about that first capture. You still want to see how else you can go from here. Now, Wolfhounds, they've been dealt this bloody nose. They need to try and now to get a retake. But we did see last week, Knights, very tough team to retake against.
No, the Knights do play quite just the aggressive frontline style. They're not really, other than Witty Weeb, which, to be fair, quite interesting. We're not seeing Witty Weeb taking the high ground this time. We did very much on the last time we seen the Knights kind of come through. So yeah, just the space and this control, very spread out, very ready just to pounce as Vic falls on top of the backline, getting stunned through. It looks like Weather's trying his best, but Vic actually getting pushed into the corner. Beautiful counter from Wolfhounds, but look at the frags from the Knights coming back. Again, that pinstripe, they're going toe-to-toe, blow for blow on every team fight that's happening.
Now, but on the point now are the Wolfhounds. Lagla taking the lead. Not a lot of help to work with, though, and doesn't seem to have much backup on the way. Great spear there onto Witty Weeb. And oh, look at the counterplay onto this Widowmaker. Dealing with them very well. But look at this, Vic back on the scene. Here comes the retake now from the Knights, and defending that fantastically well. They'll hold the point.
That was insane, and we've seen Crimson on the Tracers, to be honest. Like, we've seen Witty Weeb obviously getting a lot of shots, and Weather similarly now pulling out the Ash, which they were so deadly with the last time we seen the Wolfhounds on the stream, so definitely keep an eye out for Weather on that. But Crimson's Tracer has been nothing short of, to be honest, I'd say pretty flawless. Crimson gets in, gets the pick, gets the damage, either follows up on Vic or Vic follows up on him. And because of that, the frags are there. 90% left. The ults are online. Wolfhounds have to make something work, but that's massive. I'm pointing him out, and he does that.
That's exactly what you're talking about with Crimson, but the Knights have to defend this push anyway. The Wolfhounds have to go for it. There's no other option. 99%. They do trigger the overtime. It's looking pretty good for the Wolfhounds. But here comes the counter defense in. Vic trying to do what he can. The Winston mirror match is not going that well for Vic. And yes, does fall down to Lagaleth. Crimson holding the point all by themselves, but the retake, it's so close. It is so close, Dante, but not quite there just yet. Now the respawns start coming through as well. Medic getting another pick, and here comes Crimson, and look at the retake coming back in. Knight's gonna take the first map.
What? If you're Wolfhounds, I think you feel robbed. I think that was a ridiculous hold from the Knights there. Really only 2 surviving. Incredible hold from Vic. 2 versus 1 to survive as long as he did. Does meet his end with a punch to the face from Lagalith, but it's enough time just to keep the Knights cycling back through, and then the ults came online. Just enough to pull them through. Very hard fought for the Wolfhounds, but the Knights just edging them out on every team fight they seem to have. Now, we are going into the hangars. It's a lot more kind of not super confined, but the choke points very much, you know, are a lot more established on this point. So as you mentioned earlier, Priestley, with the Knights having as strong a hold as they do, once they have access to these choke points, if they are given access to them, the Wolfhounds are going to struggle.
Definitely want to get an early, established control here. We said the Knights are really hard to retake into, and already Wolfhound's struggling into it. But there's a huge butting of heads now, right almost outside the spawn point. Fantastic invincibility frisbee there coming out. Does manage to save a few lives, and that's enough actually for the Knights to push on through. Witty Weeb and Crimson together, a team kill to start the second stage. Wow. What a way to, establish that dominance we were talking about the Wolfhounds needed to do.
Oh my day, incredible stuff. I do want to put, the frags were all there, but Medic shots onto false. I don't think a single one of those bursts actually missed. Now we're seeing the Rhine mirror, Lagalith having to get taken off of the Winston, not surprising at all, but look at the Maywall. It's already got everyone trapped. Lagalith falls. The remainder of the team have to just back up, but Wolfhounds are falling because of it. Crimson with the beautiful ice pick to Genji's face, taking him down, staggering the spawns even more. The ult's starting to come online for the Knights. Baptiste window, the Earth Shatter, the High Noon, even if it is a basically useless ultimate, I'm sure Witty Weeb can make something happen with it. Meanwhile, the Wolfhound's not really got much to push through this choke with.
Really tough to push through as well, especially with the Lucio Baptiste healing combination. Fantastic Ice Wall there, completely isolates Lagalith, who got possibly a good opportunity for an ultimate, but completely shut down here. Yeah, the ults go flying yet again. But that is just too much for the Wolfhounds to deal with. Another team kill for the Knights. Really feeling themselves on this map.
No, they are confident, and I want to bring it back there because Crimson actually saved about 3 members of Wolfhounds from the Earth Shatter. There was a little bit of miscommunication there. Vic goes past Lagalith to try and get the Earth Shatter. Meanwhile, Crimson uses the Ice Wall to cut Lagalith off from the rest of Wolfhounds, and so the Earth Shatter actually does hit the wall now. The amount of ultimates coming through here, the ice. Yeah, Vic's gonna take down Lagalith. That is such a difficult Blizzard to survive in that corner. The frags, though, finally, 3, 4 reds. Are we finally going to see something that doesn't look like a pinstripe medic actually immediately living back up? Oh no!
Wow.
Kirby, an incredible comeback in the Lucio 1v1. You're not meant to get away with that.
The healers showing up big time here for the Knights. Only the supports left alive, and they do manage to hold the point long enough for these respawns to start coming in. There's Lagalith getting caught by his own teammates. Wall, it looked like there. Kermit as well, bouncing around, doing what you need to do. Now, Aegis commits to the point. They have to find something, and it has to be a retake if you want to get anything done. But look at this medic from long range, doing what you need to do, and that is another map go in the way of Knights unless Lagalith has something to say about it. It's just so tough to keep the Knights down. Wherever you think you got them, they just come right back up.
Oh, it is the beautiful Baptiste window from Medic, and now Weather can't even push onto Medic because he has to stay on the point, and that's going to be it. A shutout for the Knights, 1-0. Wolfhound so close to getting the point multiple times, but never just quite able to finish it off. Unfortunate for them, and honestly, a little bit of a surprise to see it from Weather. Like, I mean, you mentioned the 2 team kills. Yeah, I mean, maybe not so surprising once we see the shots come through. But Weather was just very confident on the Cassidy, but it wasn't enough. I mean, to think it like through every time it looked like there was an opening, that door just got shut on someone's fingers. Which, if anything, you've shut doors in your own fingers. You know how sore that is.
It's gotta feel bad for Wolfhounds as well. Like we said, they were finalists last season. They're hoping to come back in, rematch against the Puffins. You know, that's what everyone's going to be talking about. That's what they would be thinking. All right, I want to get to the finals. Puffins already there. Let's beat them this time. Show who we are. But Knights are just a big roadblock at the moment. And now, we did see last week that the Knights were extremely dominant on Busan. Now, not quite as dominant today, but still dominant enough, right? Once they had that point, they never once gave it up. Even when it looked close, they never quite gave it up. But definitely going to be more opportunities. Now that the Knights have taken this first game, you know, I don't know if there was any sort of nerves coming through for them, because like we said, they were not only unknown quantity for themselves, but they also don't quite know how they match up into teams like the Wolfhounds as well. So hopefully now they're coming through thinking, oh, you know what, we felt good about that. That was a good win. Definitely, you know, want to keep that momentum going forward now. But as we were talking about last week, Dante, whenever you move on to these, you know, further into the map pools and everything, there's always more and more opportunities for the teams to fight back into it. Moving on to hybrid next, and definitely now more space for the Wolfhounds to really get at the Knights.
No, exactly, and we are moving on to Hollywood, which has been, you know, I think quite a tried and tested map for so many players, for so many teams. So this will come down just to purely kind of execution on the map. It will come down to your composition understanding. I imagine likely we'll be seeing the mirror comps. Juno has actually managed to find themselves in most comps, which I think is a little bit surprising, at least for myself. It just seems that the Meta Blaster at the moment, you know, is just kind of finding itself enough, but then we were seeing by the end, you know, the Baptiste coming out just because it turns out having the Immortal Disc is absolutely incredible. We will have to wait and see, but I think, to be honest, I think the Knights are just coming in with the something to prove mentality, and so far they are proving it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like you saw how they started that second map just now on Busan. You're straight away. You know, there was no, you know, sort of dance around the start where you both trying to kind of get yourselves set up in a position and get organized. They just went straight for the enemy team, caused a bit of chaos. But once they won out from that chaotic fight, they then just established that choke point right at the door. It's like they were daring the Wolfhounds to try to flank them underneath and everything. They just stood at that single doorway here. We're right here. Come at us. Try it. And Wolfhounds obliged them. Unfortunately, it did pay for it with another team kill. But definitely, you know, like you said, they've come in, the Knights, with something to prove. Definitely proving that in that first map. We've seen them prove it on Busan. Funnily enough, last week we also saw them prove it on Hollywood. So I wonder if, you know, if it goes any different this time. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Hollywood last week. It was
Midtown, I believe.
Midtown, yes, that's right.
Midtown. It was Midtown. Yes.
It was the cool place from On the Rising.
Yes, the shenanigans, that were wild. Yes, that's right. Yeah, the Midtown was a lot of fun. So we'll definitely see how Hollywood does play out. It looks like the teams are just getting ready to start now, so we will be joining them momentarily. I'm hoping Because the last time we did, or the last time we seen hybrid on here, we didn't actually get to see much of the. I don't, if I'm right in saying the payload wasn't pushed very much, because I
I don't
believe
think
there
it
was
was
a
pushed
full
at all
shutout.
last
No,
week.
there was
Yeah,
a full
yeah.
shutout. Yeah. So we didn't get to see that. So hopefully a little bit closer here. But I mean, if the Knights can recreate, their control on King of the Hill, then yeah, the Wolfhounds are going to really struggle because they can find cracks in the armor in the Knights very consistently, it does seem, but the Knights always just seem to get it repaired or stella taped together or blue tacked together, even in the most dire of circumstances. They just manage to get those kind of cracks and those creases restored just in time for it to matter. So the Wolfhounds just need to find that crack and they just need to push a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think the Wolfhounds have been struggling by, they always seem to be the first ones losing a pick, and if you can, if you can flip that, if you can then take the first pick, those small windows that you've been losing out by, that will all of a sudden close up. With that's the difference that one player makes. Those small windows. So already, we're getting right in there. The Wolfhounds, they are not happy with playing it slow and taking their own little, like we talked about before, being set up slowly. But now Whitney Weeb going down first. That's not what you want to see. If you are the Knights, that's now a big hole in the defense, and already the point under threat from the Wolfhounds.
No, I mean, you were saying can you reverse that around on the Knights? Can you be the ones to get the first pick? So far, 3 go in the way of Wolfhounds. Wow. That's pure. Yeah, that's all red. That's all dead for the side of Wolfhounds there. Knights, that's all dead for the Knights. The Wolfhounds taking that very convincingly. Full point cap. Minute spent. Incredibly effective, incredibly efficient. All off the back of a beautiful pick from False on the Witty Weeb. Just getting a little bit maybe overzealous on the Echo. It's a very scary thing to play. Someone like Echo, obviously the aerial control that you do gain is massive, but at the same time, if you've got someone like False just picking you out of the sky, you're going to be giving up a lot of control.
Definitely, like you said, when one pick goes down, especially as the defender on that first point, it just makes a huge gaping gap for you to have to deal with. But now, hopefully the Knights are looking to fight back a little bit. It looked easy for the Wolfhounds on that first point, which is very surprising considering how the first map went. But now, this is where we talk about where the differences start to make a big deal. When you're on this payload push, all of a sudden you can't just establish a choke point, or you don't really know where everyone's going to be. And with an ultimate already forced there from Lagalith, who does manage to contain themselves to staying on the point a bit further, but there's Crimson finding an opportunity onto Aegislash again. Saw that in map 1, seeing it yet again. Now it looks like the Knights have finally established a little bit of control, but it's not been easy for them.
No, it is not, and the high noon coming out from False there, establishing an incredible control, to be honest. Surprised Vic did not pay for that point with his life. Must have had the positioning just absolutely down, or maybe just a little bit lucky, even the best players, luck still can be a great factor to help you out whenever you really need it to. And yeah, now the payload finally having actually a break. It's been pretty much consistently been pushed for the last little while, and it's actually moving again now. The Wolfhounds doing a great job of keeping these fights of keeping themselves on the payload and keeping the Knights off of it. Vic trying his best to dance in between the orb. Weather's going to actually pick up the first pick onto Ascend, immediately traded out, and immediately followed up by a double. Both the DPS now gone for the side of the Wolfhound. Surely they Knights can slow this push down.
It looks like they are succeeding in slowing that down, but still going forward is Lagalith. Will pay the price for it now, and it just seems so chaotic at the moment. You got the sides swapping. Oh, fantastic there! Just everyone's being blown up on either side. That pinstripe we've been talking about continuing on in this map, but it does seem, like you said, Knights have slowed the push to a stop. But if you're Wolfhounds, you still got plenty of time on the clock. You're quite happy with how this is going.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, 3 minutes left. There's only Aegislash is the only one with the ultimate at the moment. Knights have the pulse bomb from Crimson, which that's the first one that hasn't resulted in an immediate effective kill. Very solid success rate on that. Meanwhile, though, anything you can do, I can do better, says Weather. Takes Witty Weeb out of the replication ult. No, Crimson now deciding that they don't even need the pulse bomb. They're happy just for the frags. Lagalith, meanwhile, an absolute scrap going on in the top of the rooftop. The payload, though, still just sliding slowly but surely backwards. The fight's not really happening on that anymore. And Lagalith having to get out. There's no way you're going to be able to take out that level of sustain at this stage.
Oh, fights just absolutely everywhere. We have devolved into complete chaos, but like you said, this does benefit the Knights because that payload just slowly sliding backwards. Nobody on the Wolfhound's able to claim that point. And there seem to be fights on both sides of the map at this point. Like everyone's just diving as hard as they can onto each other's backline. And yeah, all that means is that you can't really have these organized, arranged fights. You know, we do see a couple of ults. They're not quite so effective because you haven't got all the backup that you'd normally want. But now, payload moving ever further forward. Trades go back and forth yet again. Can the Knights take it?
Oh my days, well off of what False has just managed to, I think it is beautiful. A pulse bomb from Crimson. Crimson's had, I think, like a 90% success rate on those Vic badges to take down Legolas as well. So likely, unless False can do something incredible, which he is trying his darndest to do so, will get put down by Crimson. So that looks like, again, finally going to be slowed down. The Wolfhound's going to be slowed down by the Knights. Tracer 1v1, very excellent use of the med pack there. They're just dancing around the pulse pistol. Surely one of them's got to go down. No, the disengage deciding to happen. And now a minute 13 left for the Wolfhounds. 2 ultimates, basically 3. Pulse bomb going to be online in a moment. Meanwhile, the Knights not really working with much. And Witty Weave actually off of the Echo, now moved on to the Soldier 76.
Just want some more consistent damage. It's been the name of the game for the Knights actually in their defense. They've not been going for these, you know, big explosive AoE sort of damage. It's all been single target, one at a time. Can you take anyone out? But Legolas on the Winston, pretty quite happy to see that. You know, there's not a huge threat to them, but not quite getting the sustain that they need, playing with a very, very low health bar. Now with the ultimate ready, look at this, just wants to transform, keeping this payload moving. It's going slowly, but it is still going. The Winston taking so much of the focus of the Knights. Another pulse bomb just goes flying. I don't even know whose pulse bomb that was, Dante, but it does not matter because the payload makes it the point 2.
It does indeed, and that's what you're saying. Actually, these split fights are going on. We had one fight all the way over in jail, the other literally at the other half across the street going on in the saloon. Very, very split fights happening and very much benefiting the Wolfhounds now with the excellent pushed up spawn. Knight's going to have to concede a little bit more space, and to be honest, for Witty, I'm a bit surprised at the Soldier 76 pick. The Tactical Visor, incredibly good at shutting down Tracer. You know, no matter how fast you are, how much weather can dart around, you can't dodge that level of... Oh my days, you can't dodge that level of consistency. That wasn't even with the ultimate, Witty. Witty might not even need the aimbot, he's got it himself. All of a sudden, just pops out. Hush my mouth, hush your mouth, Mr. Commentator. I will get a 4K. You will not chat any more shenanigans about Soldier 76. Apologies, I have to leave in shame after that. Thanks, Witty. Thanks for embarrassing me. Appreciate that.
I've never seen a player turn on the tactical visor and their aim get worse. But that's what we just saw from Witty Weave. Does still turn into a 4K though. But I wonder about the timing of that ultimate. Yes, it's a it's a big sweep of kills, you know, and it does get you a bit of momentum on the side. But you know, now the whole of the Wolfhounds can respawn. Now they can take this fight without Witty Weave having that ultimate. Maybe that was just the best opportunity they have, and it has in fact netted themselves a pick onto Legolas. So another push to be slowed down. Again, Witty Weave just shutting us up, Dante. Absolutely dominating on this Soldier 76. And now I'm not sure the Wolfhounds are going to have another good push in them.
Yeah, no, Witty Weave absolutely just proven a point there for us. Not only proven a point in terms of taking the Wolfhounds down, but proven a point that Soldier 76 is a lot more viable than I was giving him credit for. 4 ultimates for the Wolfhounds, though. 8 seconds left. It's overtime or it's nothing at this point now. Legolas with the Primal Rage. Very aggressive push. Going to see that popped? Absolutely, we will. Witty Weave trying to dodge in and out of all this damage. The Biotic Field keeping him alive. The shots, the Biotic Rockets, just barely not enough to get through. All the ultimates being popped. The fight's just going absolutely crazy on the payload. It's all going to come down to these first couple of picks. They're going to be traded out. We lose Brig Frey for the Juno. I can't say all the names in time. They're not coming to be Tracer. And oh my days, it's going to actually work out for the Wolfhounds in the end, just barely. And that payload is going to keep moving because of it.
Yeah, it'd been moving slowly, but now it's moving right up into the end, and I don't know if the Knights are going to be able to make it. Now, it is in overtime. You've done your job in that sense, and now they're just going to be a full-on brawl for this final point, but it will make it to the end. The Wolfhounds pushing all the way. It was tough, but they did manage it.
Did manage it indeed. Now, I just want to point out there, very nice, something that I think does still not get a lot of love. Cassidy's role now, as well as it reloads, obviously, which it always has done, does have quite a bit of damage resist, and we did see the timing actually used perfectly there to survive the pulse bomb from Crimson. So the kind of micro knowledge very much there, very much apparent from False, and to be fair, would not be surprised at all, or wouldn't expect it any other way from teams of this caliber. So yeah, as you said, points been all the way pushed through, but it is 0 seconds. So if the Knights can return the favor and do this with over a minute left, then at the most they will draw this, if not take it. But if the Wolfhounds obviously can stop that momentum from the Knights, then that's going to bring us 1-1 even Stevens.
Really excited to see this next round come through, because this will be the one that really tells us how the rest of this set is going to go, right? That was a great, a great map for Wolfhounds. That was a great push. Even if it was tough, sometimes they still had to come back from a lot of tough fights, right? A lot of adversity from that. They had a good first push, but the rest of the points were really, really tough for. So the Wolfhounds have proven to themselves that they can beat the Knights. But if the Knights can do that but better, then all of a sudden the Wolfhounds will find themselves in a big amount of trouble. But if this is a if this is a tough push for the Knights, if they don't make it to the end, if it's a close fight, then we might be in for a long night. It's the best way I can say it, Dante. But let's see now what the Knights have got, how they do. They're now engaging this push the exact same way that the Wolfhounds did, leaving with the Winston up onto the rooftop. But the push coming behind is a lot slower, and oh my goodness, Vic taken down so quickly there, and that might just be the end of this push.
Yeah, I mean, now all of a sudden the rest of the Knights all trapped in this one little corridor. The sleep very clutch, but Ascend not going to be able to outlast all that damage, and now Legolas are waking up from his nap. Weave's not going to be able to dodge around all that damage. Weather picks up Kermie as well because of it, and as you said, that first push already going to fall down, and now, in this time, the Wolfhounds had taken the first point and the payload had started moving. At this time, the Knights have not managed to get through that archway. The ultimate's already looking quite alive for the Wolfhounds. 70% towards that nano boost. Legolas already 60% onto that primal rage. The Knights just lacking a little bit behind as well. So yeah, not only are they losing, oh my days, beautiful incendiary. Legolas trying to jump in, not going to be able to get the frags, and instead everyone collapsing back onto him. Legolas having to dive out there.
Yeah, dives out, but that has allowed the push to come in now from the Knights. Now they've established the position that they clearly wanted, but Legolas able to brawl in this corridor, has the Primal Fury. Oh, we'll actually use that at 13 HP, but that's enough HP for you to start just smacking Kermie all the way around the corridor. We're even seeing Ascend just put to sleep, made to wait for their death. They're just stalling them. They're just stalling them, and this is not what the Knights needed. You really don't want to see this first point go so harshly. It's just spelling doom for the rest of the map.
No, it really is, and that was incredible. Usually there's a bit of a stagger, that's one thing, but Ascend was alive for a good solid 8 to 10 seconds there, which is massive whenever you've already ran down half the clock. So incredibly well played from the Wolfhounds on that, and now Ultimate's online for them. Ultimate's going to be online from both sides. We're going to be seeing the nano boost, the bob from the Wolfhounds. Yeah, 60 already getting into position to try and get that used, trying to get out of the way as well, make sure he can dodge Vic, who's already been nano boosted. Yeah, the counter's going to come through now. So now it has to be, how is Legolas going to be controlled with this nano, because that damage is going to be pouring through. Weave's been completely cut off from the rest of his team. Meanwhile, Crimson's starting to pick up the frags, and this could be the space the Knights needed.
This is Crimson's moment, but does get stopped by Weather in that tracks. Now it's traded out very evenly now, but this might benefit the Knights with that attacker's advantage here. Now they're already on the point, they're already starting to get something done, but the Ana 1v1 not going that well for Ascend there. Witty Weave does bail them out, but now look at this, just trading back and forth, and now here come the Wolfhounds back onto the point. And that's it. They'll have to retreat. Do the Knights will go again. They will have time for another big push, but they need a lot more than that.
And wow, I mean, the teams have literally swapped positions, and we seen in control. It was the Knights that just had a dominant position. The Wolfhounds just scratching and clawing, not able to crack the defense. And now the role's completely reversed. It's the Wolfhounds with a beautiful defense, and the Knights just barely able to crack it. That point is being taken now, but going to be contested. That blue has to get spun around. Crimson on that pick is absolutely pivotal. It's going to have to come down to this. The Primal Rage is going to be online for Vic as well. Is that going to be an extend from Aegislash? It does look like it's been a crucial Bionade. Not going to be enough to save him though, as Witty Weave and Crimson run through the remainder of the Knights, and that should be just barely, or sorry, run through the remainder of the Wolfhounds for the Knights. That should be just barely enough for them to get that payload moving.
Wow, it was very, very close there, but they do eventually come out on top. And it all comes down to that very early pick, right? Crimson gets in, does what you need to do as a DPS, and that's enough. Now, the Knights, you know, they shouldn't feel too bad about how badly that went. Yes, it wasn't as well, and Vic might feel bad about that one. But you can still win out from here, right? You still have plenty of time to work with, and, you know, maybe that's just a bit of a warning sign. So we'll see now how the Knights respond here. How do they manage to deal with this next push? Because they've still got to go all the way to the end, and you know, when you have a team as strong as the Wolfhounds, you're quite happy. Even with that point not quite going your way yet, there's still plenty of reason to be confident.
No, exactly. And 1 minute 45. It's not the time that it's not at all the time that the Wolfhounds were working with, but it's still something. That's a beautiful pulse bomb. The weather basically matching Crimson now. Crimson initially with the really effective pulse bombs. Now weather gotten a little bit more warmed up and doing something equally impressive. Lagalith catching Ascend on a very, very unfortunate positioning error from them. Witty Weeb then falling to false as well. Yeah, Crimson eventually now going to fall as well. Kermie getting a concessionary kill on the false, but the control, the ultimates, they're all kind of leaning towards. Well, actually, the control all leaning towards the Wolfhounds. The ultimates all leaning towards the Knights at the moment. About to have 4 of them ready to go. 1 minute and 5 seconds left on the clock. This is going to be probably the decider fight.
Knights need something big here if they're going to hope to push this one any further. Now, Lagaleth already taking some early damage and doesn't have that ultimate for quite a while, but you know, they've just got a lot of space to work with. Look how far the payload is from where it needs to go, but that's why you need to start it. 60 already out, false down 2. All of a sudden, the Wolfhounds have to try to put up a later defense. Now, the Knights have blown through this first push, but Lagaleth, completely isolated, can do a bit of stalling, but is going to die much more staggered from the rest of their team. So we do see Crimson with that pulse bomb almost ready. Now, can the Wolfhounds just stop this point here? Can they win this map before they get the second point?
Gonna come down to it. A lot of ultimates were used from the Knights. They do still have the overclock and the pulse bomb, which Crimson uses beautifully. So it does look like that and alone is going to be enough to get the Knights to point number 3. It is indeed. So they are now taking that payload through, but 1.5 minutes again. They have to do exactly what the Wolfhounds did. If they're not going to be able to do it with 1 minute left, they're going to overtime. So either both teams are going to have an extra minute to try and get that first point again, or the Wolfhounds are going to shut this down right at the end.
Based on how the first stage went, you definitely do not want to see the Wolfhounds with an extra minute here, but that's the best opportunity you're going to get now as the Knights. Now Lagaleth and Vic just brawling it out on these Winstons. Nobody's switching off that pick anytime soon. It just seems to be the most effective, but this is a completely different way of this push going compared to how it went for the Wolfhounds earlier. The Wolfhounds unable to establish any sort of control here. They're just kind of being pushed back, way back towards their own spawn, and all the while the payload is just pushing up. It looks like it's going to be a big hold on this point. Oh, maybe they're just happy to let it go. I don't know, but there, into the deep parts of the Wolfhounds' defense now goes Vic, charging forward, dishing out tons and tons of damage, and there's no answer for this Winston. Basically for either side, everyone's struggling. Primal Fury comes out from the Wolfhound, but oh, that's Lagaleth down. This is going to be a good push for the Knights.
That's a massive pick, Vic. Now, obviously, the Primal Reg Online gets woken back up from the sleep. That's absolutely huge. That might have been a mistake that's going to push the Knights just over the edge to get them to match up. 4 seconds left, 3. They might actually do it with some time in the back. It's just enough. 1 minute,
wow.
Barely. Just goes into overtime. Witty Weeb with the railgun, finding Weather and 60. And now, as we had mentioned, we're going on to overtime, a minute and a piece. And as you said, Priestley, if there's one thing you don't want, it's the Wolfhounds to have a minute, because that seemed to be all they needed.
I'm not even sure they needed a minute last time, whereas the Knights obviously took a lot longer to actually get this push over the line. So it's gonna be close. Like if you're Wolfhounds, you might be a little bit disappointed with the way that push ended, especially for how well it started. But I think, you know, we've seen both these teams now seem to be really, really evenly matched. You know, as much as, you know, that Busan map could be could turn out to be so crucial, right? It went so well for the Knights, and now it's almost a surprise based on how this map is going that they are so closely matched. So if you are the Wolfhounds, you just want to do exactly what you did previously. If you can take this with time on the clock, then you're happy. You know, that's exactly what you need. But the Knights, they've learned some lessons. You know, they've figured out a bit more about how the Wolfhounds like to play this map, and they might have a much stronger defense than they did previously. But both tanks on the Winston again should surprise no one. But the frightening thing there for me, Dante, is false on this Widowmaker. That is how you tip the scales very quickly.
No, exactly. All you need is one clean shot, and there is quite a lot of defensive. I mean, obviously, Kermit on the brig to try and prevent those shots landing. Actually, false deciding at the last minute to jump off and just go back to the cast. To be not a big surprise, we've seen false absolutely do work on that cast. Meanwhile, Witty Weave trying to match it with the Ash rather than the cast. Dive coming through from Lagerth already, and look at how quickly this point's already being taken. It's a crucial sleep, but again, Lagerth being just woken up. These sleep darts have been phenomenal, but they do just seem to get countered, and they immediately get shot out. And unfortunate for them, because that's going to be a lot of blue and a lot of dead Wolfhounds.
Yeah, Lagerth there thought they had the space to work with, but didn't manage to jump away in time. The long-range healing not coming through for them there, but 14 seconds. You need to get this push going quickly. You don't really have time to wait for Lagerth or not. I don't think it's... oh, he is already here, so should be able to start this engage, but that is all the time they're going to be working with now. So, onto the point, immediately triggers the overtime, and Crimson taking out Aegis/1 healer down. It's only a matter of time, I think, for the Knights here. They just have to try and get to this first point if they can. They're barreling on to the point. The fight is still chaotic, which is what the Knights seem to like in these sort of matchups, but it's not gonna work out for them. It's a fantastic sleep dart onto Vic. Buys a little bit of time, but a little bit of time is all that the Wolfhounds shall get. The Knights do lock them out. So now, the Knights' job is simple, Dante. Just have to get the point.
One tick is all they need. If you are the Knights, you can at least be a little bit confident that you're guaranteed a draw. If you're the Wolfhounds, then obviously that's what you're wanting. If you're the Knights, you're not comfortable with a draw. You want that big fat W. So 1 minute left on the clock, and yeah, very impressive hold from the Knights, particularly as you said, from how the first Wolfhounds push went. Very definitive, very purposeful. Gained a lot of control instantly. I will point out, I think Vic's dive onto the lower door into the server room was absolutely pivotal. As soon as Lagerth came in, everyone else from the Wolfhounds was going to follow him up, was going to burst through that door and try and get through. Vic, the big monkey, blocking the way, making sure that no one from the Wolfhounds could follow up, and it was just enough for Crimson to get the first pick, which did really swing the team fight going. So now, 20 seconds left. If you're the Wolfhounds, you really need to play. You need to find something incredibly secure to put your foothold in and dig in for this next minute. Otherwise, the Knights are going to bring this 2-0.
I've always found it a tough situation to be in, right? Where you know you cannot win from here. It's impossible. you cannot win if you're the Wolfhounds, but you know how important just keeping the maps ticking over is. You need that draw if you're the Wolfhounds with how this has gone. The Knights, how do they find themselves in this position? Well, it's from some good play. And here we go again. Vic diving forward with this Winston. We've seen Vic on the Winston almost exclusively for the past 2 weeks, it feels like. But it's just going so well. Why wouldn't you? And Ascend gets the first. Kermit with the second. The supports again for the Knights, just doing so well. Now, there is a trade of the tanks, but that benefits the Knights. They just need this first tick. All we've got is Weather doing what they can, but it does not matter. Map 2 going the way of the Knights. Wow.
Insane stuff there. An incredible push from the Knights there. Vic diving on, getting completely bonked away by the Brigade. No surprises there. But the nade from the Sojourn, the anti-nade that was immediately cleansed. Every piece of utility that the Wolfhounds were throwing out there, the Knights did just seem to have prep. They did just seem to have an answer for, and unfortunately for them, it did just mean that, yeah, we are now 2-0. So this is series point now for the Knights until either the Knights take it or the Wolfhounds do a hell of a comeback. And I want to point out one thing, Priestley. Whoever wins this has to immediately go again against the Puppets.
You can't really relax on it. It's
No.
that's the way it goes. So you really want to get this done quickly. So the Knights put themselves in the spot they want to be. Whereas if you're the Wolfhounds, you have not just a mountain to climb, you've got 2 mountains to climb. Because if you manage the huge comeback here against the Knights, you then have to do it all again against the Puffins. I do not envy that position. But one thing has to be said, that I think in both games now, we've had the play of the game going the way of someone on the Wolfhounds. So, you know, I don't know if it was Witty Weeb both times. It definitely wasn't that second one. I'm not sure about the first game. But definitely showing that the Wolfhounds are almost there. You know, they're so close.
It was Weather the first one. Weather the first one. Yeah, Weather the first one.
So both DPS players now for Wolfhounds, showing that they have these big moments in them. But I think what's been happening is just, like I mentioned a few times now, the supports from the Knights are just playing so well. They just seem to be getting these opportunities where, you know, most supports don't. We even saw in Busan, you have both 2 supports left alive and they managed to hold the point themselves. It's not what you're used to seeing, you know, especially this level of play as well. So definitely something that the Knights have over their opposition at the moment. It all depends on if the Wolfhounds can somehow flip that advantage. But like we said, they've got a mountain to climb, they've got 2 mountains to climb, but that doesn't mean they can't do it.
No, exactly. I mean, there is at no point is this going to be done until it is fully over. But yeah, 2 mountains to climb. The endurance is going to start really kind of coming in now. So we are jumping over just to purely escort. It seems like actually it's going to be Junkertown, which is going to be a bit wacky to see. Incredibly open angles, incredibly open spots protected for the first one. We've seen Weather land some disgusting shots. We've seen Witty Weave land some disgusting shots. We've seen False on the Cassidy just completely dome some people. So a lot of open space means a lot of respect is going to be having to give to those hit scans, and if you don't give that respect, well, you will give your brain.
Yeah, Wolfhounds have been really committing to those really committing to those hit scan characters, you know, even when, you know, it maybe doesn't feel like the right choice, but Witty Weave has been really popping on that Soldier 76, you know, even when we thought we both kind of questioned it at the same time, we're wondering why they'd gone for it, and they showed us why. And Junkertown is definitely a map that I think suits itself a little bit more to those hit scan type characters, so definitely excited to see if the Wolfhounds can feel a bit more comfortable, because, you know, like I've been saying all along, they are almost there with a lot of these pushes. They are very, very close. They just need to put it together that couple more times, and then they can have a bit of a stronger showing. But finally, we see Vic on something that is not a Winston, and we do see them picking, switching up actually the same coming out from Lagaleth as well. So definitely 2 Sigmas on either side, but which one will come out on top?
No, yeah, precisely. The Sigma just, yeah, the Winston not really going to be pivotal in Junkertown. The bubble just not big enough, doesn't control enough space, so no surprise there that we're getting. And the Gravity Well as well, such an incredible ultimate for a map like Junkertown with so much kind of openness to it. You know, you put someone up into the air, no one's going to struggle to see them. There's not going to be much to cut off angles. You will be up in the air, you will be a sitting duck in the air. And both teams have recognized that, so here we go. It's going to be Wolfhounds on attack. First of all, Knights defending. Swap now afterwards, and that's a beautiful start if you're the Wolfhounds.
Yeah, Widow on Widow action here, and we do see Witty Weave falling down first. And Payload, though, still going to make its slow push forward. This kind of how these escort maps go. You almost get a bit of a freebie at the start. So despite losing that first early pick, Knights shouldn't suffer too much from it. Should be able to just walk on back up and carry on as if that didn't happen for Witty Weave. But definitely what you need to see if you're the DPS players for Wolfhounds. You know, it's been even in the DPS matchup, but you need it to almost be more in your favor with how the rest of the game has been going. So definitely need to see that, and that's one way to do it. Vic getting 1 stop over Lagaleth there, and now being pushed all the way back into their spawn. Oh, Wolfhounds, now this start is turning quite bad. My goodness.
Beautiful. Another team kill for the Knights. The Wolfhounds just getting a little bit staggered out there. One thing I want to point out, Weather getting the first pick on a Witty Weave. Witty Weave immediately going, I can do that too. I can do that too, which is always part of the fun, which I think does go, Priestley, you have mentioned just how evenly matched these teams are, and I think that alone is just a great example of it. You know, something just as minor as that, but if the Widows are taking each other out, and they have the capability of getting that first pick on each other, then yeah, you know you're in for a very, very tight fight. And now, the Ilaria actually coming out, which we haven't seen so far, I believe, the entire series, so interesting stuff to see how it's going to work out. The pinstripe now, online for both teams, but it does look like the Knights are keeping that control. Yeah, no, we're going to be seeing, unless a beautiful block onto the rock, but Witty Weeb finishing off 60. Medic then catching the shots on the Aegislash. 2 minutes left, and payload about halfway, so you know what, if you're Wolfhounds, you're happy enough with this so far.
Yeah, it's been going on far enough. You know, like we said, the payload has been pushing along as best as it can. But now it seems to be hitting a little bit of a roadblock here. But the rest of the Knights now trying to get back to the scene. Now, we've actually seen Alariel coming out. I wonder who that's going to be targeted onto right now. I don't quite see where. But Crimson taking it now as far as you can onto False, but False still getting out alive. And like I said, this payload has hit its roadblock. Doesn't seem to be going anywhere. We do see the gravity well coming out. Lagerleth right on that threshold and does fall down. So that's another push that will just be falling away for Wolfhounds. Not going to go any further for a while. Frisbee goes down. It's just the smallest amount of health there. You can see Vic is staring at it, but can't finish them off themselves. Does get the backup from their team, and now another great defense from the Knights.
No, incredible. And you did say that was something there, that's very much kind of the opportunity that the Knights are getting that the Wolfhounds just aren't. Anytime the Wolfhounds can sustain, and people are staying alive, but they're not staying alive 100%. They're staying alive for longer, but it seems that the Knights just kind of edge out on that sustain. Anytime the Knights seem close to death, they always walk away with like 13 HP or something wacky like that. It doesn't seem like the Wolfhounds are able to just quite do the same level of control. But who needs this control when you've got Weather blowing the heads off both DPS and the Alari as well? That's a 3k for them alone. Surely you can make something happen with this, unless completely breaking the hearts of the Wolfhounds along with Ascend. Suddenly, a 3k might not be enough.
3k not currently enough, but the payload is still moving to this first point now. The Sigma staying alive for the Knights is so vital in that push. We saw Weather get very excited, get all the way deep, and just gets cut off, and Crimson now doing what they need to. Look at Crimson go. Once this play of the game themselves, the payload is stopped before reaching the first point. Great defense from Knights.
Oh my days, the Wolfhound. This is hard. This is Sisyphus. This is the boulder going up the hill. Every time it looks like it's about to get up there, there's just more and more hill for the Wolfhounds to climb. Heartbreaking stuff for them. Incredible defense from the Knights, as you'd mentioned. But yeah, I mean, the Wolfhounds somehow have to try and get this hold. They can't even let it get like 3/4 of the way through first point, or that will be it. The Knights will take it 3-0, only to then immediately move on and fight the Puffins, the winners of WEL5. So yeah, I mean, for the newcomers, definitely a dark horse worth betting on so far. Wolfhounds, you need to try and get this horse at least a little bit less comfortable on this track, because it is running circuits right now.
Now, this is where, you know, the mentality has to kick in for Wolfhounds. You have to feel that you can do this. Because if you don't believe it, how are we supposed to believe it? You know, you need to feel like, despite the way that push went, because there were moments, right? You've definitely seen moments again coming out from Weather, coming out from False. A bit of a quiet one there from False, but we know that they've got it in them. And it was almost there. I think they got a little bit excited seeing Weather popping off. We did see, you know, the Ilari ult on the backside, probably from 60 as well, which really combined well. It was looking really good in that push for the Wolfhounds, but they just got a bit too confident. Let go of the Sigma as well. Just let him heal up, let him resustain back into the fight, and that was too much. Now, Witty Weeb again, getting a very early pick, but traded out immediately and just battling now immediately, because they know, the Knights know, they only need to push this so far. Witty Weeb, sorry, Weather there, caught out by Vic, and this is going to be a pretty free push for quite some time. Needs to be a huge defense now from the Wolfhounds.
Oh, it absolutely does. Vic, just establishing, gaining this control. A very scary force to be reckoned with. Has been managing to get those shots quite consistently. Maybe a bit of an overcommit, but this is the difference. You'd been pointing out the Knights and the support earlier, Priestley, but like, this is the difference. Just no one from the Knights seems to be able to die. Shut my mouth. Witty Weeb has absolutely died. False is correcting me yet again. Crimson finally shutting it down, but going to be traded for his life. But as you mentioned, you know, they're happy enough. There's still 2 minutes 50 seconds on that clock left. There's maybe about 15 seconds left of push that the payload actually needs. So the Wolfhounds are far from done right now. The ultimate's not really online for anyone at the moment. Closest we've got is Weather on that infra scope, or that infra visor, which isn't really going to do too much, obviously, for getting that site push. But until then, we'll have to wait and see. The Knights, I'm sure, just happy to wait until those ults come online.
Oh, Lagaleth there, very, very low, needs to stay alive. You need that tank player to be up for as long as possible. That is the heart of your push. And you know things are desperate, Dante, when they switch to the Winston. Oh, whether they're getting the pops, already taking down Medic, and then Witty Weave to follow. That is how you keep these pushes from getting too much of a head of steam. But seems like not really deterred just yet. All the Wolfhounds, they are still standing tall into this, but Knights just keep coming back. That's the problem with the point being so close to the respawn, and that's it. Oh, they let the point go. They let it go, and the Knights walk it into the end. Oh my goodness. Where did that come from? Oh man.
A, B, C, 9. Oh no. Oh no. That's how the semi-finals go. Incredible shot. Oh my days. That was... I mean, I'm looking at Weather's shots, but you just tripped and fell off the site, lads. Oh no. Not only have they tripped and fallen off the site, that means Knights have tripped and fallen into the grand finals versus the Puffins. What?
I was setting the scene. I was building it up. I was like, all right, look, defense good from the Wolfhounds, but you know, Knights keep coming back, and Wolfhounds just forgot to hold that point. Has to be said though, it comes from great play from the Knights, right? They were great. That whole map, really, Junkertown felt like it was theirs compared to the other maps, which, you know, Busan was good. They definitely had good control on that map, but it wasn't the cleanest. It was mostly good. Obviously, they definitely have plenty to be happy about with it, but it wasn't perfect. Whereas that Junkertown map, I would say, definitely perfect. It was as good a push as you could hope for in those circumstances, because, you know, when the point is so close, like I mentioned, to your respawn point, your almost best way to deal with it is just keep throwing resources at it. Weather was doing everything they could. You see those shots from the Widowmaker constantly pulling them off, but they just keep coming back. And yeah, unfortunately, Wolfhounds just got overwhelmed by the Knights, who, well, will be looking to test themselves against the Puffins in the grand finals.
Oh, indeed. So let's just have a look at how that looks. So here we go. Puffins, of course, Ronda Rising with the backing out does mean that they were immediately going to move on regardless. So the Knights now having to essentially regroup and do it all over again. That is quite brutal if you're them. Now, if the Puffins, you know, should be studying, I imagine I'd be quite surprised if the Puffins came out and said they hadn't touched the game, or they hadn't been, you know, prepping or warming up, or at the very least watching this to get an idea of what their opposition was going to be like. So what we will be doing, ladies and gentlemen, is a 5 or so minute break. Let all the teams kind of recap. I'm sure the Knights need a bit of a drink, bit of a breathe, bit of a stretch, and then whenever we get back, it will be the WEL Grand Finals for Overwatch 2. So please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one, welcome all. This is it. This is it. You're joined by myself again, Maddante, and of course, joining me, the ever lovely
JudasPriestley as well, back for the grand finals today. Unbelievable. It's only been 2 weeks, and we're already here.
It's genuinely quite scary how fast that's came, to be honest. So yep, down beneath us, as you can see, there is the roster. So Ronda Rising, just for anyone that missed previously, they did have to drop out, just unfortunately scheduling issues and a little bit of sickness going around. We are getting into the autumn winter months, so I think the cold weather is getting some people. It certainly has got me. All commiserations and getting well for them. So now, off the back of what was an incredibly close match, Priestley, fill in the wonderful people, and I have very bad short-term memory, so fill me in. What happened?
The Knights taking the, I don't want to say the most unconvincing 3-0, because that doesn't really sound fair, but it was definitely not dominant over the Wolfhounds. It was, some very strong plays from both sides. Definitely overall, you would say the Knights deserve to win it. Don't get that wrong by any means. But the Wolfhounds still did put up a very good fight. More of a fight than we usually see, to be honest, in these sort of 3-0 matchups. It was definitely a lot closer than the 3-0 scoreline does tell you. But what that does mean is that the Knights now get to go up against the Puffins, who previously, last season, actually beat the Wolfhounds 3-1. So, if you think about it that way, the Knights beat Wolfhounds 3-0, Puffins beat Wolfhounds 3-1. Does that make the Knights better than the Puffins? I don't know. That's funny enough, Dante. That's what this game is for us to find out.
Show us. That is exactly what this game is going to show us. Yes, so the Knights did have came in, obviously, very much kind of the dark horses, very much the new entrants. And with that, they have now shut down what was, I think, a lot of people's kind of bets for the final would be a rematch of WEL5. So we're already going to be jumping this in. Both teams super ready. Doesn't surprise me at all. The Knights, of course, should be more than warmed up, ready to go. The Puffins, I imagine, have either been looking at their opposition, gain a little bit of knowledge of how they're going to be working, or maybe playing it a little bit calmer, just trying to, maybe just make sure they're warmed up enough, but trying not to get into their own heads too much. As you said, with the Knights beating the Wolfhounds a bit more convincingly than the Puffins could, does that mean the Knights are destined to be our champions of WEL6? Let's find out.
Well, the Knights have played Busan this week and last week already, and have not even lost the point a single time. They have held the point from start to finish on their Busan maps. Can they have a repeat of that? We do see Wantam already going in, but look at this Knights, similar to what we just saw. They're already diving onto the backline, looping around behind the Puffins, but the Puffins standing tall against it. Nobody going down. The Knights coming down from the wrong spawn point, now onto the point to contest from both sides. Still, everyone alive, but this is where the close match come through. One pick from both tanks coming through onto a support. Shrek and Wantam now finding the kills, and it looks like the Knights might find themselves suffering on this first point. Now, we do still see people nearby, but that is the first time, Dante, we're seeing someone take the point from the Knights.
And if you're the Knights, what do you think about that? That is incredible. They now get to see this choke point from a different perspective. They now get to see this choke point from how every other team that's went against them has seen it. But look at how fast they decide, no, we don't want to see this choke point. We want out. Beautiful pulse bomb from Shrek. It's just not going to be enough, unfortunate for them. And it looks like Wantam. Actually, never mind. I was going to say Wantam going down, but Shrek backing him up along with Keydog and that Medi Blaster and continues to fry through the Knights. The Puffins only losing one just for a small little team kill. I'd say that's worth it.
Wantam there lived for so long. It was seconds in it. If the Knights are able to just take out Wantam that little bit earlier, then they can turn their attention onto all of the DPS firing on them, but they could not. They will now have to take another engagement in. No idea what happened just then, but Vic is still alive and they can take that, but the rest of their team is not. Trying to do whatever they can as Vic tries to find the last shot, but cannot. Another team kill for the Puffins. The Knights slamming into this wall, but the wall stands tall.
It does indeed. These are definitely some very terrifying birds. Want them, though, being trapped down by that May. Well, yes, Vic.
Great wall.
Shut him down. That is an overcommit that will not be allowed to go unpunished. And 75% on the site. Shrek, beautiful pick. We've been seeing that tracer from Shrek all the way, but that's another time that ice wall from Crimson is going to seal the Puffin's fate. And now 84%, but finally, question mark, a retake for the Knights? Is this going to be the first time this entire night that we see two teams both with a percentage point? It's all to find out for. These shots just aren't being enough, and now the Orisa just chasing each other in a conga line down.
Got it.
The Matt Murray with a beautiful high noon. How is this going to go?
It's going to close, but it is being really heavily contested by the Puffins. Oh, double kill from Unisco there. Means that the Puffins are absolutely in position to retake this point. It's 99%. It is overtime, but there is nothing that the Knights can do. The Knights lose a map in this first round. Not how we've been seeing it so far, but the Puffins, they're here to remind everyone who the previous champions are.
Exactly, and to be honest, just kind of off the back of that, I don't want to say the Knights to the Puffins are starting to remind me of how Wolfhounds look to the Knights, where there's gaps there that the Puffins are going down. The Knights are able to find some space the same way the Wolfhounds did, but they're not able to keep it. They were able to get 12% onto the Puffins, but the Puffins immediately just charged back, taking the control straight back, and immediately then taking the first point. So very even again. It does seem like the tug of war is only just beginning.
Definitely not a dominant fight there from the Puffins, but still pretty good. That's how you'd want to start a grand finals matchup, right? You're just taking the first map of this first game, and well, that gives you advantage going forward. Now we do see the double tracer matchup coming through. Similarly, so we see Whitney Weeb on the Cassidy into Matt Murray on this Ashe. So definitely a lot of close matchups here, but trade goes one way, traded immediately back, and the point available. Now we're seeing Vic picking up this Orisa, which I guess they learned from one time that Orisa's a pretty good character in the right situation, so definitely wants to make that work. But this first point, not going up quickly.
No, exactly, and we are seeing this level of control. Both teams very much exhibiting quite a lot of, wanting to take that very forward space, particularly for this site. Completely understandable. This is a very difficult hold, kind of to get, and we're seeing exactly what happens. The point is almost your second priority. Getting the positional advantage, getting the choke points forced through is what you will be seeing the priority of from both of these teams. And the Puffins, again, just barely able to scratch out on the Knights because of it. The Knights so close to being able to do it, but just not able to get the Puffins down exactly. So now, point ticking up. Ult charge looking fairly solid for the Puffins there. They've nearly got the minefield. Pulse Bomb going to be online for Shrek in just a moment. Meanwhile, the Knights still trying to catch up on theirs.
Yeah, definitely need some ultimates to make this work right now. But one way you can also make it work is just have Crimson cause a bit of chaos. But that Pyro is going to make things very, very difficult and does burn through Crimson. Matt Murray similarly on fire, but still stays alive. Now, the point does get retaken with the space that was created, but the pick's going right back the other way. And the point only gets 5% for the Knights. Maybe committed a little bit too much just to get that point secured for them. And now pushed all the way back, but still, this is the time that the Knights needed. They need to get these ultimates charged up, and this is how to do it.
No, exactly. So we're up there now. There's, as you said, speaking of, we've got 3 ultimates online, including the Juno ult. For anyone that doesn't know, basically, big orbital array makes everyone do quite a bit more damage. It's quite a strong ultimate, but does have to be used very effectively. The Transcend is going to be popped from Unisco, and that actually does give both Wantum and Matt Murray the space just to get these frags. Vic trying to get at least one trade, but not going to find Unisco in time. And now that D.Va is going to try and be stalled out as long as possible, and it's going to be incredibly effective. Unisco just staring it down, booting Vic in the face before the remake happens, and now 80% left. Not a lot of ults for the Knights. That they've only got the Brigade and the D.Va bomb online. Matt Murray, Bob, and the Juno ult still ready to go for the side of the Puffins. So quite a lot for the Knights to work against here.
Definitely now the last big push coming in from the Knights. They've had the ultimate weakness of the D.Va exposed and might be forced into the ultimate sooner than you'd like, and yet there it does go down, but it will not be too effective. Now the trade's coming out back and forth, but Unisco on the Zenyatta just firing off. And now the point is under control, but not enough control. The Knights not able to fight back on their favored map, Busan. They go down swinging, but Dante, they do go down. Game 1 to the Puffins.
Incredible stuff. Very night and day, but yeah, the more I'm watching this, the more I'm just seeing the Knights the Wolfhounds reflected in the Knights in a way. Just incredible stuff from the Puffins indeed. Again, as you said, Priestley, reminding us exactly who our WEL5 champions were in Keydog here. Like, this initial push, beautiful stuff. I mean, yeah, Shrek and Wanton were on that kill feed, but it was Keydog that made it work. So very nice that we got to see that from their perspective. And yeah, we now move on to Hybrid. How are you feeling about that, man?
I think the Knights have just had a very rude awakening. I don't know if you've ever had smelling salts, Dante, but that's what the Knights just got a huge dose of individually. Wow, what a shock to their system, right? Busan, that map, like I said, has been a staple for them. They've had it the last two weeks of play, and they've dominated it every time. And they weren't dominated. Again, I have to stress that it was not completely dominant from the Puffins, but it was just enough to make you go, oh wow, that was tough. How are we supposed to beat these guys? It's so well organized, and definitely, like you'd be mentioning, cracks in the armor that hopefully the Knights can look to punish, but it was just covered over so well. Like, even with the fact that the point was able to be retaken by the Knights in both maps, I just wonder if it was almost intentional from the Puffins. They almost drew the Knights in, let them take the point, then just retook it immediately afterwards. Both times a similar strategy. So, I mean, the good news from the Knights is they can't play Busan again. So, they will have to find some other way to take this victory. But yeah, definitely a wake-up call for the Knights coming into the Puffins here.
No, exactly. I think you've summarized that beautifully. There's not really much more I can add to that. So we will be jumping into Hybrid now. We will be jumping into Midtown. It does look like same sides as well coming through. So we will be seeing that. So in theory, I mean, Hybrid starts off the same way Control does. Take control at that point. So in theory, the Puffins are going to have a good advantage of it. But the Knights have been able to take control of the point before. They did it both rounds last time. So it might be just enough that with the slight change in the map design, with Midtown especially being quite an open map with quite a few different ways of choices of execute, that might be just what the Knights need to finally get a foothold onto the Puffins and maybe make some bird-based dinner for themselves should they find that foothold.
Yeah, I don't want to call it too early though, Dante, but if there was a single weakness at all that the Knights had into the Wolfhounds, it was that first capture point on the Hybrid map. Obviously, it was Hollywood then, so maybe there's a difference now coming in with this Midtown. Like you said, lots of angles of attack, more angles, I would say, than Hollywood. Definitely more potential to find these opportunities, but that was their weakest point in their previous game. So definitely need to find a way to cover that over. How can you, because once they secure that point, when the payload comes through, it becomes a lot simpler for them. It's a lot more how they like to play. It's been a bit more chaotic from the Knights. We've seen them thrive in the chaos when they're not able to establish these choke points. So they definitely want to get this point out of the way as quick as possible, because this is where the Puffins, like we've just seen, have the better control, or at least had the better control. And I just wonder if the Knights can cover over their weakness here. But I really don't want to see this be a Hybrid map that only goes to the first point. I'd love to see the payload actually come into play here. But the Puffins, they'd be more than happy to just hold it right here.
No, they absolutely would. And we are seeing quite the aggressive pick. Crimson on that Sombra pick to just try and gain the additional bit of space. Very defensive side from the Puffins here. The Kiriko, the Life Weaver, and the Bastion. So very much focusing on taking a position and keeping it. If the Knights can adapt, obviously they can try and avoid that position altogether. But no, immediately here we go. We do see that it's looking mostly, actually I was going to say mostly blue, but it's pinstriped all the way. Murray actually being caught out all the way in that back line, and that should be enough. You said the Knights want this point out of the way, and that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, Vic, they're coming up huge for their team, but low health bars again from that Tracer just getting away. Now, they haven't quite got that first tick. Maybe the rush down coming in from the Knights is what they need, but the Puffins back to defend it here. The Wrecking Ball is going to be causing absolute chaos. Crimson has to retreat. Whitney Weeb goes down, and now the Puffins able to re-establish themselves in the position that they need. It was almost a fantastic push from the Knights, but they're going to have to do it again.
I think I must have cast or cursed there or something. I cannot understand how the Knights managed to lose that, unfortunately for them. The Puffins just great control. I mean, Wantum was absolutely going off on one on the ball, and they continue to do so with the backup of that Tracer. Just everyone trying to counter dive onto Wantum, but Witty Weeb stuck over in the back trying to deal with Matt Murray and will succeed. UNESCO though immediately getting that trade through. Wantum with the info. That's an incredible piece of awareness there. The team comms absolutely beautiful to know. Spin in, try and take out Crimson. That's exactly what is going to be done now. This timer ticking down still. 2.5 minutes left. The spawns are going to be a bit staggered. The ultimates are coming online. This next couple of fights, or these next 2 fights probably will be your deciders, as if we see the rest of the map, or if, like, hopefully it doesn't happen, but you said, Priestley, we are just going to be seeing this first point.
It could possibly be just this first point. Wantum causing absolute chaos. Wantum destruction, as it were. Now the minefield onto the point. Exactly what you want, but does fall down. Wantum off the table now. Means that the first tick does go through for the Knights here. They just need to hold it for a little bit longer. We might actually see this point get captured. The Puffins do show up to defend. Tracer dashing around onto the point, but that's not enough. The payload does come through, and the Knights get exactly what they needed, and they get this first point out of the way eventually.
Eventually, I think I need to stop talking. I feel like Caster cursed at every single thing. I said that we weren't going to see it. I said that the Knights had it in the first push, and then the Puffins got it back, and then I said the Puffins had it on that, and then the Knights won it. So I'm going to stop making predictions because I think someone's going to call me biased and cheating, which I'm not, I promise. Yeah, incredibly good stuff from the Knights, and that payload. One of the things about Midtown is look at how aggressive this push is up from Vic. This is where you want to be if you are the Puffins. This balcony, you want to have this overlook. Yep. That's a beautiful stun. But Vic's still going to be able to walk away from it. Barely the melting from Wantum in the Bastion. But no, look at how little health Vic has, and he's still fighting for it. Has to pop the Primal Rage to try and keep this control. The hack's going to come through onto that. Surely that's enough to take him down.
They do manage to get off the Tree of Life, though, to this point now. All of a sudden, much harder for the Knights to aggress into, but they still do manage to succeed with it. Now, charging in is Vic yet again on their favored Winston, of course, but with Wantum being around on this Wrecking Ball still, it's been such a difficult target for the Knights to take down, and the payload all the while rolling backwards, uphill somehow, but still rolling backwards. And unfortunately, despite what looked like a great engage from the Knights, they have been swatted away. The Puffins come out on top.
No, very nice, and they've got that balcony control. What genuinely looked, as you say, that control from the Knights did just seem so strong. It didn't seem like that was going to be breakable, but Wantum and co have done exactly that and pushed the Knights all the way back into their spawn. The ults are coming online, the minefield, the high noon. We're going to be seeing the Kitsune Rush and the pulse bomb online as well. And look at this little drop ball from Wantum once the Knights try and re-engage.
You can see that coming. Everyone knows it's coming, but the Knights will not be able to see until it is too late. Now, they might get lucky with their choice of pathing here. Looks like they might have gone around this corner, and instead there is where the minefield is popped, but not quite as effective. Does take down Witty Weeb, but Wantum not able to get any more, but the pulse bomb coming in from Shrek is enough to again stop this push, despite how they've spent lots of time setting it up of the Knights, but just dropping these picks left and right, and again continuing to stagger these deaths of the Puffins. It means that the Knights are going to find it really difficult to get a concentrated push.
No, agreed. The Knights, I think, really do need to at this point now just sit back and spawn. It's not fun. It's a bit dull doing a full regroup to that scale, but that's what I think they really need to do right now. It does look like the Puffins, as you said, just continuing to really stagger out these spawns. You cannot be dealing with that if you're the Knights. These timers and these ults are coming back online. 3 ultimates again online for the Puffins. 3, the Kitsune Rush is being met with on both sides. Wantum spinning in from the back line there, trying to get the slam. Not going to be enough, and it's Matt Murray actually with the first pick automatic, as this fight is going to be for everything.
This is for the rest of this map, but the Puffins are just coming out way on top. Too many kills in their favor, and now they're just going to begin staggering the deaths yet again. Witty Weeb, nothing that they can do. There is time for one more push from the Knights. They've done what they needed to do, and they got that first point, and they've gotten plenty of push onto this payload, but they're going to want a little bit more. They know that they need more. They can't be satisfied with where they are, but it's just not been so easy for them. The Puffins have just put up such a good defense at this horrible choke point, this bridge control. Like you'd mentioned, Dante, this is what you want if you're both teams, and unfortunately for the Knights, the Puffins have been the ones with the most control. Now, High Noon does come out, but that just seems to be wasted, like you said, Dante. Useless ultimate coming out there. Look at how far behind enemy lines Matt Murray is going, but not falling down for it. The rest of the Puffins with this forward defense, just too strong. The payload moves no further, and that'll be this first part of the map done in favor of the Puffins, you'd say overall. Definitely would be the happier of the two teams.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion. The Knights can absolutely do something, do one up the Puffins, and you know, even if they don't manage to get the first point hold, had a little bit of a DC there. We've lost Crimson, but should be able to get him back in. So I think we'll just be you know, drop him back just for a second while we get Crimson loaded back in. Hello, one and all, welcome back. Great to see you again. But yeah, incredible stuff from the Puffins so far. Just anytime the Knights were really trying for that control, and they were playing the positional advantages really well. It was just that the Puffins adapted quickly, kind of collapsed onto one or two people. Wantum was just any time there was a fight happening, Wantum just kind of seemed to jump in and just go, "What's all this then?" and then crush a support underneath himself, and then kind of start it off that way. So yeah, if the Knights though can do a full hold, which I don't think is impossible, then you know they've done it. Then you know that's the first point to them.
I mean, yeah, that's all they need to do, right? The task is pretty simple for them, and they even have the benefit of, like you said, it is the full point, not just a couple of ticks. You know, they do have that full point to work with, and then some time after that as well. You know, they did at least get to that big choke point. So if you can then find your defense there instead, if you're the Knights, you still have plenty of opportunities. I just want to bring it all the way back, though, to that initial push on the payload. There was an engage up onto that bridge where you see Vic jump in with the Winston, gets that Primal Rage off, and you also see the big Sombra ultimate hacks absolutely everyone on that bridge. You know, it was looking really good for the Knights there, but we did see, I'm not sure exactly who it was. It was either Keydog or Shrek. It looks like Keydog picked up the Life Weaver again, but the Life Weaver ultimate came out right before they died. And just getting that Tree of Life down, that almost stabilized that push for the Puffins. It allowed the Puffins, who were still alive, to remain on that bridge, hold it for those few more seconds, and that was unfortunately when the Knights ran out of steam. So it comes down to some very minor plays sometimes, but it makes all of the difference. So knowing that is possible, you need to feel confident as the Knights that you can still individually make a big difference when the games are as close as this. You know, those little things really do matter.
No, exactly, and that's the thing. It's coming down to the micro adjustments now. Every little decision at this point in this scale with these levels of plays, you know, does matter. And speaking of every little decision, we were talking, you know, we talked about earlier the different levels of engagement. Wantum deciding to pacifist run his way onto the point and then choose violence, immediately falling onto Witty Weave, doing a little bit of damage, but Witty just able to survive. Never mind, crushed against the bins by Wantum. The space control is absolutely incredible. The Bastion just drills down Kermit and Shrek, winning that 1v1 versus Crimson, and very decisive push from the Puffins.
I cannot overstate how effective that roll was. Like there's a bit of a saying in MMA, Dante, which is everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. Well, in Overwatch 2, everyone has a plan until there's a wrecking ball flying over your head and capturing the point. Whatever setup the Knights had going, that completely obliterated by the fact that they all had to turn around and pay attention to Wantum, and that just opened the door wide open for the rest of the Puffins to run on through, and that's why that point went down so quickly. Now there's over 5 minutes that the Knights have to hold this choke point. Now if there's any choke point that can do it for 5 minutes, it is probably this one up here, but the Knights still need to play this absolutely perfectly from here.
No, they do. There's no room for any errors anymore in the artillery strike. The nuke coming down. Oh, the hotel being absolutely bombed. Nothing actually comes out of it at all. Everyone manages to stay up. Unisco, though, at least capitalizing on that damage on the Crimson and getting a little bit more from it. Wantum just dancing around the place. Yeah, immediately falling back to try and get that back line, just causing a little bit of pain. And look at how close the payload already is to the max point. Vic taking down Unisco, needs to drop on the point. No, not again!
They're too late. They are too late. It was under the bridge. Everyone was on top of the bridge, and they couldn't get down the ground fast enough. The Puffins with a fantastic, clean victory in map number 2. If I said that map 1 wasn't dominant, this was dominant, Dante. That is exactly what you need to see in this grand finals. And now the Knights, we mentioned it when they were against the Wolfhounds. Could the Wolfhounds pull off a big turnaround? The Knights will now need to do it themselves too. It's a tall order, but my goodness, the Puffins are just playing so well, like so clean. That was absolutely fantastic. So much pressure in that hotel that the payload just waltzes on up to the point.
I can. I'm still recovering from that, man. That's when I yell. In case anyone is confused, if anyone missed, the reason I yell "not again" is because that's how the Wolfhounds versus the Knights ended. Was a very tragic C9 on Junkertown. Most players on both teams still alive, and we've just seen it happen again. No, you did mention it, Priestley, and it is a very fair point that the ults were coming online. There was quite a bit of that, quite forward aggression going into Hotel, so it wasn't quite as if that the payload had just been forgotten about, but so much space was created from the Puffins there, using just all the abilities that, Knights really had two choices: either back up, regroup, and give away the point, or run into the point, die, and then lose. And to be honest, not really much of a choice.
Yeah. It's one of those, right? Like, this is sort of the cruel nature of Overwatch 2. You have to touch that point. You have to physically be on that point to stop it. And when your best fight that you need to take, right? Like we said, they had a lot of time to work with it. The Knights had to hold it for a long time. So they need those ultimates. They need to take clean and organized fights, because if it devolves into chaos, you just kind of eventually will just find yourself spilling over to leaving the point go. But they couldn't even get set up. There was no opportunity for the Knights to be set in what they wanted to do. We touch on Wantum at the start of that, just flying over everyone, pacifist route, like you'd said, right onto that point, and it just rips up the plan of whatever the Knights were talking about. For a fact, whatever the comms were, none of it included, and if the wrecking ball flies over our heads, we do this. There was no way they planned for that. And I'm sure then that's when comms get really cluttered. That's when things get messy, right? Everyone's discussing, how did that happen? How did we just lose that point? Well, you need to forget about that, because you're going to lose the second point. And just really, really clean play from the Puffins. And Knights, not to say they can't do it, but they have a huge, huge task ahead of them. And it has to start now. Route 66, I believe, is our next map. And they need to get off to not only a great start, I think they need to win this very cleanly to build up their confidence. If this is a hard-fought match, I can just see it going the way of the Puffins again.
I think so. I think at this point as well, and you've got to remember, speaking of hard fought, the Knights have already done 5 games. This is the 6th round the Knights are going into, and it wasn't if as well. Shout out to the Wolfhounds, because it wasn't if, as you said, those were not dominant games. They did go 3-0 to the Knights, but the Wolfhounds did put up very much a decent fight. So you must be feeling kind of exhausted if you're the Knights, because you have to do this 3 more times again now, and with a team as strong as the Puffins, you have to recollect yourself mentally, go into Route 66, another map that's very difficult. Starts off with a really brutal choke point on the garage, and then basically just gets tougher and tougher to push. And the Knights are the ones starting on the attack. So as you said, very, very large uphill battle, and if they can't do it cleanly, I think the Puffins, just with the fact that Puffins have only played 2 matches, I think they're probably still ready to go for a little bit. The Knights, I imagine that fatigue's got to be hitting or setting in soon.
I almost like the fact that the Knights are on attack here. I think to build confidence, right, having a good defense is great. Like, if you hold at a choke point, awesome. But if you can push this payload to the end zone, that's almost a bigger victory. Right, that is a much bigger confidence boost. Look at this forward defense coming out. from the Puffins. You see that from Shrek. We are not spawn camping. I don't believe you, Shrek. I really don't believe you. This is the king of spawn camps coming out here, not even letting this payload move an inch so far. As I mentioned, you can normally get a bit of a freebie on these payloads, but definitely not at this point. Now it does finally start moving, and actually not going so well for the Puffins so far. Unisco going down first, and this Bastion possibly on his way out. Vic gets away alive just for the moment, but you need to be trading a lot more effectively if you are the Knights here. You have the benefit of the close respawn, so I think you can commit a bit further forward. And yeah, we do now see them cleaning up the rest of the Puffins, punished for their over-aggression. Maybe that's the boost that the Knights needed.
I mean, it definitely needed to be something. So if that's the start that they need, then they will run to the hills with that 1 minute down, and they are getting around at, you know, that brutal choke point at the start. That gas station has now essentially been cleared. Little bit more space to work with here in terms of for the Knights. They now get control of the gas station. The Puffins really only have this higher ground opposite it to kind of get through, and they all starting to come online. If there's been one person for the Knights that needs, you know, all the love, Crimson has been doing something disgusting.
Oh, no.
Speaking of something disgusting, the Lifeweaver does come down to save him, or sorry, the Clerical Cleanse comes down to save from the Earth Shatter. Beck being crushed by Wantum anyway.
Wantum doing what he wants. Absolutely fantastic. I was going to mention, actually managed to pick up ultimate in that first engagement despite falling down. Getting it up that fast, it's just ludicrous. And getting used effectively then is so important as well. And yeah, you know, it only gets one kill directly, but that just causes so much of a stall in the momentum coming through. But momentum, exactly what the Knights need. The Kitsune Rush certainly going to help with that. Pulse Bomb comes out as well, and Crimson getting a first kill. Vic running through as well, but trading now, starting out from Puffins, but it looks like the Knights again starting to establish themselves as a bit more of a dominant force. Wantum falling down to that self-destruct too, and that is exactly what the Knights needed. Again, a good push, a good attack, a big confidence booster. And yeah, they need to keep this rolling now. If they can keep this momentum going, they've got a chance in this set.
Absolutely. Want him with the little oops, and I think that is, yeah, the timing for trying to block the Diva Bomb was a little bit off there, so no surprise that the oops does come through. The bombs from Witty Weave going to absolutely trade down, dismantle Matt, and that's your big damage dealer gone. It's going to be very difficult to get out of this choke, particularly with the Bastion spread out, unless Vic just introduces, or unless Wantum just introduces you to his shoulder. He's going to Earth Shatter as well, takes down Witty Weave because of it. The damage now gone for both sides, but it's a beautiful rest from Kermit. Vic's panicking a little bit, trying to escape from Shrek. Gonna go down because of it. Unisco picks up Crimson as well, and they should be able to jump back on that payload. 2 meters left with the contest, but it's going to just be enough for the Puffins to stabilize, at least for the meantime.
Yeah, Puffins have stabilized for now, but still 40 seconds on the clock means the Knights will come back, and they've already succeeded in getting past the major choke points right now. The Puffins will feel confident in themselves, but the Knights can be happy with how this has gone so far, but not satisfied. They want to continue this push and get it to the end. They have chosen who they will be ending this game with. You know, Vic sticking to the Diva, wants to keep going with it. Matt Murray on the flank behind. This is a dangerous flank, especially from a Bastion. There is the Hyla isolated, but the Bastion battle gets won out by Witty Weave with the help of the Mercy nearby. Oh, fantastic use of the push there from Wantum. Lets it go right before they would have fallen themselves. Now, the point is being contested. There's a self-destruct on there as well. Wantum completely cut off from the main point, but that's not going to be needed. The defense so good from the Puffins. They do swat away the Knights. It was close, but they do not get that first point. Puffins know what the goal is. They just have to get it in, and then they will be your Welsh Esports League Overwatch 2 champions for Season 6. But Knights, they know what they have to do too. They just have to hold this choke point.
Absolutely. A lot of stuff to be said there. An incredible series of fights. I mean, the pin from Wantum, you'd pointed out, Priestley. The going off of bringing... just taking Witty Weave off the edge of the map, being told, I imagine, Witty Weave, doesn't matter if you die, I'll just res you. You can't really res someone from the bottom of a crater, so unfortunately the respawn timer was going to have to be relevant there, and then yeah, the Valkyrie being popped by Kermit just to try and get that payload stalled out. Unfortunately for the Knights, it wasn't going to be enough. So now, here we see the opposite swung around. 4 minutes to get just before that first point. If you are the Puffins, I imagine you are feeling quite confident. If you are the Knights, again, you should be feeling as confident. It's never over till it's over. Do not let yourselves get in your own way. The Puffins are already the ones standing in your way without you getting in your own heads.
That's exactly it. The Knights, they've held this choke point before. We saw them do it last week against Ronda Rising. Now, of course, Puffin's a much different matchup compared to Ronda Rising, but you know that you can do it. You know that all you have to do is keep them from getting that first point, and it's as simple as that. If you can not spawn camp and give up this early choke point, then all of a sudden you have a lot more time to work with. But here comes Wantum again on this wrecking ball, has caused so much chaos with this pick so far. You almost need to deal with that first. If you are the Knights, if you can find a way to either deal with Wantum or just ignore him, then you might be able to find a way forward. But we see now the payload coming up to this all-important corner, and we do have Wantum right behind enemy lines, as they like them to be. But that's Shrek taken out first by Vic. Nice play there, and Talenty Field, very, very important. The Torbjorn even coming out from the Knights. That's how desperate this situation is. But you still need to play effectively. Wantum, look at all of the attention that they're dragging. The turret even placed behind, specifically to deal with this wrecking ball, I think. Where are you going, Wantum? The point is not there. Like, just going somewhere else. But look, if I'm the Knights, I'm just concerned about where this wrecking ball's gonna be.
Oh, I mean, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a hamster coming at you about 90 miles an hour, ready to crush you under the weight of himself. And yeah, Wantum, I think, just trying to be a kind of paranoid existence right now for the Knights. But as you said, Priestley, just ignore him. Just ignore. If you can't see him, he can't see you. That's we've learned that from hide and seek since we were 2 years old. If you just ignore the hamster, it will go away. And Crimson picking up Key Dog in the background. Yeah, this control from the Knights is very solid indeed.
Yeah, it's been very good so far, but like we were saying, if I'm on the Knights, I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna check into my bed for Wantum on this wrecking ball. Like I'm gonna be so scared.
My ceiling. I'm gonna check in the sky.
Check my ceiling. I'm just expecting to burst to the wall at any moment. It's been such a harassment tool, but finally does get conclusively shut down. That doesn't mean he's gonna go away. It does stick on the wrecking ball, but like I said, this choke point being held very, very well by the Knights now. Only 2 minutes on the clock, and that is enough to work with, but it's still not plenty to work with. And this is where the ult charges start coming through. The Knights plenty in pocket, almost 4 ultimates there. Not quite all of them, but almost all of them. And yeah, first one comes out from that Bastion as well. Obviously, Vic just holding on to that, and it seems like Wantum's really struggling with this placement of the Torbjorn turret. The double kill coming out from the self-destruct. You do not see that very often. Wow, fantastic. And Wantum chased back to base as well. This is looking fantastic for the Knights.
This is night and day, and I didn't even mean to say that before. I didn't even mean that as a joke before it came out. But yeah, this is absolutely night and day compared to the first 2 sets. The Puffins really struggling to get any sort of space. Vic just tearing it down at the moment. Yeah, Wantum just pause. We've got a pause, so I think we'll try and get that. Unlucky. Do we know? We're trying to get to the. We're having a little bit of tech. There's a bit of panicking from the teams as the pause is coming through. Tragic. They are. There we go. We got it.
There we go.
Fantastic.
We got the pause.
We
got the pause coming through. Seems to be some kind of issue coming out from the Puffins. And we've talked about how well the Puffins have been playing, how great it's been. But you still need to have a really controlled effort here. That's why you're seeing, I don't want to call it panic, but obviously the players want this pause, because what the Puffins don't want is to give up this map in this way.
No.
You could hear the timer ticking down. They don't have long to make a push go through here. I'm not sure if they actually have the time. I'm not sure what the timer was when we actually dropped out, but it's going to be close.
Something. It's pretty close. Yeah. It's like 50 or so seconds. It's not long.
Yeah. It's already close, right? So the Puffins know if they give up this map here, they're leaving the door open for the Knights to turn this one around. To give that. This is the confidence boost I was talking about. If they get this, easy win, and it would be an easy win for the Knights, only on this map, but it would be an easy win. If they get this, then you can start feeling more comfortable going into the next map. You've got this win, and yeah, it's 47 seconds on the clock. is what it looks like. So definitely now need a controlled effort to come out from the Puffins, because as much as Wantom's been causing chaos on this Wrecking Ball, it does seem to be leaving the rest of their team exposed. So I do wonder if they're going to change that up, make something else happen. But yeah, it's so close. And again, if the Knights pull this off here, we have a set on our hands. Make no mistake about it. And it could only get worse from here, from the Puffins. You know, there's definitely a cause for concern here.
Yeah, no, there absolutely is. I mean, yeah, 47 seconds, not quite a long time to work with. If they do end up taking this, then we will be moving on to escalation. Finally, then we do seal it off with a push to kind of go for. If there is a draw, somehow, I don't believe it's physically possible at this stage now, but if there is, then obviously we just reset the circuits, so, or we just reset the cycle, and we just go back to control. So, yeah, as you said, you know, 47 seconds left. The ult's very much looking stacked towards the Knights, at least from my recollection. So it is quite a lot to work with on their side. The Puffins could just be a little bit of panic, and who knows, if the Knights do this again, that will be an endurance. Like that will just be a feat of endurance alone, because the Knights will then have to do that another 2 times. Meanwhile, the Puffins will only really need to do it that. So if the Knights can show that level of endurance, then if I'm the Puffins, maybe I'm a bit scared.
It's definitely something to be scared of.
Yeah.
You know, you definitely don't want, like I said, you don't want the Knights building up ahead of steam, feeling like they have a way back into it, right? If the Puffins can take this in 3-0, they could say, yep, job done, easy peasy for us, happy days. You don't want to have to really start working for these wins, because as soon as you do that, that's when mistakes start creeping in. Yep. That's when fatigue, like you touched on, comes into it. That's maybe why we see the Knights coming in with a bit of a slow start in this set. They just played a 3-game set, which, again, they did win 3-0, but it certainly wasn't an easy win for them. It definitely wasn't a blowout, and they would have still had to be, using all the comms, going through the playbook, really trying to piece things together. We saw Weather in the previous game for the Wolfhounds playing so well, and as an opposing DPS player, that just makes you have to focus in so much harder. So you've already pushed yourself to that limit, and then you come up against the Puffins as well. It is just it's really tough. It is all I can say. Really tough if you are the Knights to go through so far, but if you can get this win, that just makes you relax a bit more. You feel so much more comfortable. Again, feel like you can do it, and that. That applies to all maps in Overwatch. The thing about Overwatch 2 is, despite the different game modes, the different map types and everything, the game's the same. You stand on the point and you kill the other team. If you can keep doing that, and now you can do it, then you might have an opportunity to win this set.
Exactly. So at the moment, we are still trying to just work out what the DC was, exactly, whether it was just like a PC issue or something. So at the moment, we are still looking at that. So we are just going to jump to a short break while we get that discovered. But I mean, there's 47 seconds left on the round. There's not much left, and it's either, again, series point, or this series may just be beginning. So please do not go anywhere while we all find that out together. ladies and gentlemen, we are right back into it. There are no shenanigans. It's 47 seconds left on the clock. Witty Weeb, first pick onto Shrek. That does mean the Knights are continuing this very solid hold. Do apologize, but the teams are ready to go and are back. So now, with 30 seconds left, can the Puffins get this push, or will the Knights put their first point on the board?
Well, they're trying for it. They're already onto the payload. 26 seconds on the clock still, but that's still very, very tough now for the Knights to hold, and the Puffins do seem to be getting a bit of an advantage. Unisco there with a huge ultimate. Look at them all the way around the backside, but there is still a concentrated defense coming out from the Knights. Still plenty of members left alive. This payload now is going to have to be cleared because of the Torbjorn ultimate coming through, and there goes Key Dog down. 1 second on the clock. Overtime kicks in. The need to get onto it. Matt Murray very, very low. There is just Vic running down the enemy team. You cannot deal with a diva like this. Want them doing what they can. Shrek shows up to the scene, trying to find these last couple of picks. The Dragon Blade comes out and immediately goes down. The Knights take their first map of this set.
Oh, damn. We got a series on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. That has came out of nowhere. So, if you're the Puffins, you're used to this. You won 3-1 last time. That's fine. Maybe you're just really into your patterns, and you just want to win 3-1 again. Maybe 3-0 will scare you off. But if you're the Knights, yeah, foothold, bit of confidence, as you've been saying, Priestley. You know, you can just click heads and, you know, stand on the point and click heads, and you've proven that you can do that. So now we do move on to escalation, which is probably the most stand on point and click heads game mode of the entire set. So yeah, very interesting stuff, and solid work from the Knights not to get 3-0'd.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you know, the Knights, like we were saying this whole time in the break, the build-up, they just needed that little bit of a boost to say, we are here. You know, we are the new guys on the block, but we are here to play. And you know, taking this map against the Puffins, now it's not bettering the result of the Wolfhounds last season, but you've at least matched it, which is a good sign when you are new to the scene. But like we said, given that the Wolfhounds were able to take a game last time, and the Knights felt a little bit stronger than the Wolfhounds earlier today, you'd hope that from the Knights' point of view, you can get another game in. And you know, if this set goes 2-2, it is absolutely anyone's game. So I'm really excited for the Knights to get that victory. It spells, you know, good things for their future. Whether that's short-term future or whether that's long-term future, we will soon see. But yeah, definitely, you know, it does come down to, you know, there was obviously that technical issue for the Puffins. You know, they lost a bit of time on that pause, and that's got to feel a little bit unfortunate for them. They definitely were close to taking that point back, but didn't manage to put it together. But they need to get that out of their minds. They need to focus on this next game, get ready to go, because, again, if you lose this next map, all of a sudden the Knights are going into the final game with all of the momentum, and nobody wants to get reverse swept, Dante. So Puffins need to close this out here if they're going to feel confident.
No, they do indeed. I may have actually been spreading some slight misinformation on the internet, because I have indeed. I've just been told the map indeed is Colosseo. I believed it was escalation first, so apologies for that. We're going to be jumping into push first, then it will be escalation to finish us off. Should we get there, which I imagine the Knights very much want to get us there. Push. A very, very tough game mode to play concisely and well. Basically, it, you know, snowbally as hell up to a point, and then that snowball very much just melts, and then it's very defender-sided, so it's quite a lot of back and forth, which we've been seeing, you know, the whole series so far. So Puffins do seem to have that control very much kind of laid down. The Knights then suddenly warming up seem to have that control just as similarly. So with a map like Push, it's very much going to come down to who can adapt faster.
Yeah, definitely to, you know, just put it together, right? The Puffins have been the more dominant side so far. It's a bit more difficult to dominate a Push match though, because, you know, it almost you know, it's almost manufactured to be, you know, back and forth, right? But you can still, you know, try your way and get that, you know, if you get it all the way to the end, which we don't often see in these competitive games, that will be how you really get your domination confirmed. But yeah, for now, it's just going to be these teams bouncing it back and forth. And with the way that these games have been back and forth up until now, I'm really excited to see how this one does actually go, because there is so much that could go wrong for both teams here.
Oh, exactly, and it's either it's both the blessing and the curse of push, that it's just very kind of, once one thing goes wrong, it can kind of all go wrong, and you know, Kermie going down there 99.9% of the time will not be relevant in any way, but that 0.1% of the time the Puffins have already won. And that's the level that push actually is, and it's going to start off a very decisive control for the Puffins. That robot's going to start going towards the Knights' side, and now maybe that momentum the Knights get, maybe they only get one.
Well, Wantum just picking whatever tank they are in the mood for playing and having a great time doing it. Has really been rolling through the roster in this set, but just doing the same thing on all of them, it feels like. Absolutely causing chaos. And like you said, the Puffins get this first bit of domination on the push. They get the advancement here, but the Knights immediately going to come back and are winning this fight now. So we'll expect it to see the push go all the way back the other way. Wantum, though, staying alive for as long as you can, but I feel like this is just a matter of time. Even the Jungle Queen cannot stand up to that many enemies. And yeah, great defense, if you can call it that, from the Knights. Means that, yeah, we are going all the way back. And Knights begin their push. Can they get any sort of lead?
Yeah, exactly, and to be honest, this is a massive point now. Where if you're the Puffins, where as you mentioned, Priestley, it's so rare that you get, you know, the robot all the way to the end. But the Knights do want all, or the Puffins do want all that control at the start. If the further they get the robot, obviously, then they can just play it for overtime. They don't have to get it to the end. They just have to make it more difficult for the Knights. But so far, it's the other way around. It's the Knights doing that to the Puffins and just grinding it up. The sound barrier going to immediately get dropped by Kermie. Kitsune rush online. Pulse bomb burnt by Kitty Weave. All of the effort is being used to try and take this space against the Puffins, and it is working out at the moment. Vic with a beautiful harpoon into the back of one. I'm gonna keep this robot going towards the side of the Puffins.
Yeah, definitely not the side the Puffins want to see it on, and here we do see the ultimate coming up as well from Vic. You're having a great time on this Orisa so far, but the push has not been particularly strong, and despite what felt like a winning fight from the Knights there, it has been, you know, sort of deflected well enough. If you are the Puffins, you don't mind it going that little bit further ahead. It almost gives you extra motivation to push it back the other way. But yeah, we are now seeing this sort of choke point where the fight's going to come down. This is where the Coliseum is, shall we say. And Matt Murray taking the first kill, and that just allows for the floodgates to open and the rest of the Puffins to run through. And push goes the other way. Can the Knights get their own retake?
Oh, 30% of them. Oh my days, Matt Murray dropping the dynamite almost as if it's a bastion, dropping it from the sky onto Kermie's head. Beautiful dynamite usage there. And already we've 30% of push is now over, and it is the Puffins back on control. The Knights been very good at trying to just, you know, fight that kind of one-to-one, but we're very close to getting the robot to the first stage, which means the further advanced spawns go for the Puffins. The space gets easier to hold, and yeah, that looks like they're going to do it. There's no contest yet. That is going to be the further up spawns for the Puffins. That's all you really want to see. It does just mean it's even easier to keep that space controlled.
Puffins now looking to press this advantage. Like we said, they don't need to get it all the way to the end. They just need to put it in a spot that the Knights can't really reach. Now, getting that first point is exactly what you want to do. You know, it just gets you off to that bit of advantage now that makes this game uneven, right? The Knights now are behind officially. You do have a big advantage to overcome, but that's almost a big kill there. And in fact, it will become a big kill onto Crimson from Shrek here on the Cassidy, and the push continuing to go the way of the Knight side of the map, which is not what they want to see. These even trades now are going to start heavily favoring the Puffins overall, and even the ultimate usage, if it's not effective like that, you need to find a lot more. The sound barrier comes out as well. This is a huge commitment from the Knights. They need to make it work. The Bob comes out combined with the big hack as well. Everything being thrown at this from both sides, but the Knights are coming out on top. They're finding their way back in.
Oh my days, the kitchen sink is barely even making it into this fight. It finally, with a sea of red, the Knights crawl through the blood of the Puffins to finally take that space. Yeah, you'd mentioned it. I'll count in a minute, I believe 8 ultimates used to try and take that fight. If you're the Knights, when the Puffins have had to use that much, you've had to use it too, but when you're the one walking away with the robot, you're feeling so much better about it. The Puffins have to try and take this space and this control back, which they're doing very commandingly. Vic on 2 HP, barely able to walk away with their life. An incredible heal from Ascend to keep them going.
2 HP, but heals it all right back up and still in this fight, but now will fall down. Keydog getting that kill off them, and so quickly, so much less commitment from Puffins, but with the ultimates already being used by the Knights, they are able to take the push all the way back, and the Knights didn't even make any progress from that. They didn't get any further at all, so now the Puffins have all the space, they have time with the respawns coming through, they're going to press their advantage, and man, it felt like the Knights were starting to build up ahead of steam there and just have it all taken away from them.
No, exactly, and this is the difficult part. We've both mentioned it a few times, but this is the tough part of push if you're the Knights. It doesn't matter if you win the first team fight. You've got to basically win 2 consecutively just to start gaining progress on the Puffins. And winning 2 consecutive team fights, you know, when you start getting to this level where the ults are being spaced out and used so efficiently and so effectively, you know, it's gonna be difficult to take that to take 2 back to back. So the Knights now very tall order. Even these frags are gonna go their way as long as the Puffins can stagger out just a little bit, which is what they're doing. Keydog sacrificing himself to take down Witty Weeb, but still does work out in the Puffins' favor due to the spawn advantage. 3.5 minutes left to go.
3.5 minutes and a lot of distance, almost double the distance the Knights have to make up now onto the Puffins, but they do have the advantage now. They've got the push with them. They do have 3 ultimates in the tank, and the Puffins nothing to work with just yet. Will soon be on the way, and I expect the charge to go very fast with the way that these teams have been fighting, but I love this defense from the Puffins. They meet it early. They get onto this team so that they have to win more than 2 fights. It's a fantastic ultimate to start the fight this time from Vic. Continuing forward is Vic, and look at this. All members of the Knights running through the Puffins. That's a team kill they needed. They've won that first fight, Dante. Can they win the consecutive second one?
Let's find out. The robot finally making some progress for the side of the Knights. It's been like 5 minutes since we've seen that. I'm sure very refreshing for them. They do have to try and obviously get this now to the second point, get those respawns kind of refreshed and ready to go. Vic just takes a dynamite to the face, doesn't really seem to care. The collapse, here we go, dropping onto the robot, trying to take all the space. This fight is so pivotal. You did mention, can the Knights take 2 in a row? The sound barrier is going to get dropped. All of everyone now very tanky from the Knights. All the ultimates being used. We've got Bob, the rally, the orbital ray from UNESCO, and it's gonna go blue as the Knights do fall, using a decent bit of utility to try and get it, as that robot now going all the way back to the Knights side after all of that.
You don't want to say that that's it, Dante, but with only 2 minutes left, it is going to be such a tough push for the Knights. They don't have that advanced respawn. They didn't make it to the point, and they just don't have the time to work with to really rebuild. Look at the ultimate cooldowns. It's just so far away from the way that the Knights need them to be. You know, they're going to start with another good push coming out from Vic. Vic on this Orisa has been playing so well and doing everything they can, but it just takes so long, so much of a commitment for anyone on the Knights to get these picks down. They are getting these picks though, and unless one time has something to say about it, this will be another fight that goes the way of the Knights. But again, they won this first fight. They need to win the second. They're only going to get it to that point, but it's going to stall. This is the cruel thing of pushing. Witty Weeb switching to that Widowmaker and just starts trying to press the advantage now of the Knights. 60 seconds on the clock. Can the Knights do it?
I mean, we've seen Witty was the one to get the first pick last time on the Puffins, so that was how fight one was won, was off the back of that shot, and Witty We've doing it again. I do want to jump back very quickly. We do see one of them actually swapping over to the Winston now. I was wondering why the initial Orisa ultimate was used. Does make a lot more sense if you've got that Winston online. Witty Weeb picks up another frag on the Murray as well. We're probably going to be seeing, yeah, a lot of people died of Vic. It's a beautiful ultimate. Witty Weeb following up the damage, and all of a sudden, the Knights have the advantage. The Knights have finally pushed the robot further. 20 seconds online. If the Puffins win the next fight, they have to win probably 2 more back-to-back to try and get it, and it's all overtime now. So every ultimate's massive, every piece of util comes down to it. We could be going to a final map, ladies and gentlemen.
How did we get here? The Puffins have so much work to do. They're off to a good start with some picks, but they have to get that push all the way across the map, and more so. There is tons of work for them to do, so all of these seconds, all of this energy being spent by the Puffins is benefit to the Knights, but the Knights are holding it here. The Knights are starting to win this fight. Now, it might not get them the victory overall, but they're doing such a good job at building up this ult charge, building up everything they need, and just Vic isn't going down. Vic staying alive for so long. It's just causing so much pain and hurt for the Puffins. Now, the Puffins do have control of this push. They have to make sure they don't let it go, Dante, but it has to go so much farther.
It really does, and the spawn advantage favouring the Puffins initially, but now will be favouring the Knights. The fight's gonna have to be decisive.
On the point! Oh, that's not frighten me then.
Not again. Not again. Don't do that to my heart, please. No, not again.
Oh, that is not what we need.
No, it's really not. Beautiful ult from Wantum there to take a send out from beneath the Baptiste lamp. Matt Murray following up. That's going to be a sea of blue. We've seen the sea of red last time now. Going to be fired right back onto the Puffins. This robot has been going for quite a sprint. Usually it's more of a marathon, but this has absolutely been a 100 meters. Basically all the way back up. 3 ultimates still online for the Puffins as well. Are they going to do this, Priestley?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know how we got to this point, but it all comes down to this battle here. Matt Murray, Unisco, and Shrek, the ones with the ults on the side of the Puffins. What can the Knights do to defend it? You have Wantum on this Winston, as they love to do, charging it through, gets onto Ascend right away. Great start. The point is very close now. They have to defend it as quickly as they can. Big ultimate coming out from Vic, does take down Shrek. Matt Murray, though, firing back with Unisco. The point is still contested. Everyone from the Puffins standing their ground, and they're looking to push forward. The line is just ahead of them. Can anyone from the Knights get close enough? It's a meter left, and there is not enough time for the Knights to make it. The Puffins will win this season. Wow, what an ending.
Holy, I don't think anyone could have really predicted that was the way that was going to go. We tried, and we failed multiple times, ladies and gentlemen. What a set from both of these teams. Incredible stuff, incredible back-to-back. Incredible plays, incredible individual plays, incredible group plays, incredible space control, incredible highlights. Oh my days, it was disgusting, it really was. And the Puffins win. Yeah, maybe they just like their patterns. 3-1 again for WEL5 and now 6.
A fantastic play from the Puffins. They always look good. They almost dropped it at the end. Like I said, that was overtime. They pushed it the entire map in overtime. It was so close from the Knights. And what a way to introduce yourself to the Welsh scene. just to say, taking it all the way to the finals. And like I mentioned earlier, if that went to 2-2, it was absolutely anyone's game. You wouldn't have bet against the Knights at that point. It would have been very tough to do so. It was so well played from the Knights, and you have to give them huge commiserations because they just showed so much of what they could be. Right? They could definitely take another game against the Puffins. I'm sure they want to keep playing now. It might have felt like a long day, but now they only would want to keep going. But unfortunately for the Knights, Puffins will be your champions for today. What a fantastic day of Overwatch 2.
Yeah, no, incredible stuff. So congratulations to everyone. I mean, the Wolfhounds, hell of a showing from you guys. Unfortunately, just the Knights did have a little bit overused. And then the Knights, I mean, that was some endurance. And the fact that you nearly brought us to a map 5 after all of that is absolutely insane. So, like, even though you did not take the W, that's absolutely a point of pride. So walk away, heads held high for that. To be honest, with that, I'm very excited for WEL7. I'm very excited to see how all that builds up coming through. But yeah, with that, Puffins are your victors. That is us for this season. Priestley, any final words for anyone before we wrap up?
Final words are, what an entertaining 2 weeks of Overwatch 2 we had. I just wish, everyone, we could have a few more.
Yep.
Maybe for next season coming through. We had a couple more teams, more games, more action. I would love to watch a bit more. Those are my final thoughts on it, but still plenty of fun for this season. And like you said earlier, Dante, can't wait for World 7.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you very much for joining me, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Something tells me this probably won't be the last time we see each other, just for reasons. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Shout out to the production as well. They're always gems. They always make us sound so good. And if they wanted to make us sound crap, we wouldn't have this position because we'd sound crap and we'd get kicked off. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we hope to see you here very, very soon at WEL.